Alright, welcome back everybody. This is Dominions 5. We are on turn 2 of this Natgenthots, that's what it's called, game. Bob, God of Friwald. And we're looking at the start of turn screen here. And there are some messages. Basically, this is a proclamation from the different nations. We are declaring our prophets. And Gundarik, the Silver Commander, shall be known as Prophet of Bob. And so on and so forth. Portis has Araxes. Default name, the Captain. Hekikima, the Spearmaster. Ida Adonimeneus, the Master Lancer. And from Hasbat to Dual Wielding. That's a renaming. You can rename your dudes in this game. Good. So now a lot of things are going on, and I have taken this turn because I had to send in my turn before the turn timer went out. But let's walk over what I've done and what's going on here. So first you've noticed is that some units have appeared in the provinces next to us. They were there before, but we just couldn't see them. Now we can. If we click on one of them, it says here, the province contains about 30 enemy units. This is not necessarily accurate. This is an estimation based on our intel level. And it might go up or down every turn as we gain new intel. The army consists of mainly militias and light infantry. So it will always list the one type of unit first that we know are the highest amount. So it has mostly militias and then some light infantries. This one here has 30 enemy units, militias, heavy infantries, and archers. Here we have archers, mainly archers, and then light infantries. And in here we have heavy infantries and archers. And you note that the golden borders have increased or extended. That is our dominion. Inside our dominion we get more detailed information like income from the province. Ooh, that's a good water province. And 85 here. These other provinces we don't really get province details, but we do in this one, both because we have our scout moved in here and because our dominion stretches here. It will also start to affect the land, so now the magic has increased to 1 here, whereas the other ones will, and our basic territory will still have the same dominion, but it increased 1 in dominion strength over the turn. Alright. So what happened in this turn? Gunthermund went to this province, so he's no longer in here. We have 2 characters here. Gundarik is now our prophet. A prophet gets increased attacks and defense skill in addition to the dominion related bonuses of Pretender God. Prophets can never be charmed or enslaved into serving the enemy. There can only be one prophet at a time. Yes. And he become a priest level 3. So that does different things for him. He can cast some priest spells. We got Pippin. I didn't even notice. It's Pippin. Awesome, because he's a hobbit. I get it. He's an Earth Mage and Death Mage level 2. Let's go over the recruitment for this turn. We are recruiting a fellow of the penultimate secret. This guy. You will note that the buried consort that we recruited has a research ability of 13, but in our province here, that was my phone, sorry. In the province here, he has a research ability of 16 because we have magic 3 in the territory. And that will boost all of our researchers in this territory. So we want to start getting some researchers in here, but I think he will be our first researcher, this guy. He's also a philosopher. It'll be kind of cool, I hope. Good. We have 2 commanders, and as you'll note, we have 2 red arrows pointing out. That's because I'm making sort of a big play here. Instead of going for... There's different expansion strategies you can employ in this game. We could have attacked for turn 1, but instead we're attacking turn 2. But I'm gonna try to take 2 territories at the same time instead of massing all of our troops into 1. That will increase our income exponentially, of course, because we get 2 territories. If it works. That's if it works, but I think it will. We have 2 armies, and I split up our troops into these 2 armies. All the undead ones, these Friwaldese Ghoul Forest Infantry, or some we had from the start, and these are all the units we recruited last turn. We have our Avenging Nightblades, who have rare hyenas, then our Slingers and our Hammers. And we've just put them into one big group, because if you mix them, if you mix undead and living troops, they get penalties to morale, and we don't like that. So I'm just keeping it clean. Pippin will take a bunch of the undead units and march into Shade Forest. If I click in this territory and then press the Y key, we get a setup for the territory there, for the units that are moving to this territory. Good. And what we can then do is very interesting. For battles in Dominions, you don't control them directly when they are in battle, but you can set up a script for them to follow when they get into the battle. Good. This is our setup for the army. We have one stack of units. I can move it around. And we want them to be in either box formation or skirmish formation. We're selecting box, so they'll just be like this. And then we have Pippin. We can put him anywhere in relation to the army, but we want him to be behind the troops, basically. Good. Then we can script Pippin. These are the battle orders for Pippin, and I've just set him to cast spells. You can set him to do different things, either none, and he will decide himself what is the best course of the action. You can say stay behind troops, you can say attack, cast spells, advance and cast spells, or just have him retreat. I put him on cast spells. You can also, in the first 5 turns of the combat, you can tell him precisely what spells to cast. So there's Hand of Dust. These are different spells that he has access to right now, because we have enchantment level 1, and he's in Death Mage level 1. He will be able to cast these 2 spells, for example. I don't really... None of these spells are game-changing. They are pretty low level, all of them. They will help, but I'm just going to let him decide which spells to cast. So he's just casting spells. That's all. And the troops, we can give them similar orders. We can't tell them exactly what to do, but we can say attack, and then have them attack either enemy archers, cavalry, flyers, large monsters, closest enemy, or rearmost enemy. I set them to none, and they will probably just go for closest. And I set them to hold an attack, so they'll wait for 2 turns before they start advancing. And we do this because we have a spellcaster and the enemies do not. So we want to drag out the combat because our spellcaster will cast different things that will benefit us in the fight while he's holding back. They do have some archers, and there is the off chance that our spellcaster will be hit by a stray arrow and die. And since he's the only commander in the combat, the troops would flee. If the rule for Dominions is if you lose all your commanders in a fight, any normal troops will flee. You can never... The biggest army in Dominions will flee if you have no commanders. So you always need that. We only bring the 1 because it's a pretty low level fight here. But if he does get hit by a stray arrow and dies, then it's over. The units will have a chance to flee back to our territory though. And then Gunderic here will move into this territory over here with a small elite force. I'll press the Y key in here, and we can see that he's bringing these guys 8 undead units, because I thought he would need a little bit of backup here, but otherwise all the other units we had, mainly the Avenging Nightblades, I think they'll be pretty good. We'll bless them, and we'll do this by this guy. I have scripted his spells. Divine Blessing. These are the priest spells that he can cast. And the Divine Blessing is the same as a Blessing Prayer, except that it affects all holy units in the entire battlefield. When you are a priest level 3, as it's denoted here, you can cast this thing. We will only get one guy who will be priest level 3. You can boost it further to get some badass spells. But this one is a bless everything on the battlefield blessing. Or otherwise, other priests can cast this normal blessing that will only affect 5 troops. But why would we do that when we have the big one? And then he has this Syllable of Death I'll do one Sermon of Courage, which increases the morale of some troops. But then the Syllable of Death is sort of a damage spell, which is like a Divine Bolt. The prayer is imbued with death, and anyone affected will die instantly or at least be fatigued from resisting the death. And that's what your prophet can do. He can just stand at the back and kill enemies with this Syllable of Death. And that's why I think we will have a leg up over these 20 units here, even though they are heavy infantries. Even if our units aren't that good, some of them will turn into were hyenas, and our prophet will stand in the back and throw some really devastating spells at these guys. His spells is actually better than this mage's spells, because his spells is determined by what research level we are at. And we are not that high in the research tree yet. He can affect the battle though, a little bit. And our scout Gunthermund will be moving up here. My plan is, if all goes well, we will have armies in these two territories and an army here, and we can make all of it move into Windun here, and on this way we will have 3 territories on turn 3, which is pretty good, and then 4 territories on turn 4. That could be kind of good, and I'm hoping that it will work out. We'll see. That's basically it for this episode. We don't have to go over a whole lot. Maybe we can look at the score graphs and see if that... Yeah, we're not allowed to see the score graphs, I think. Like income. We can't see it for the other nations. That's fine though. You will note that our income has actually gone down. That's not because of the upkeep. They are independent from one another. But it is because of our death in the territory. Our territory is slowly dying because of our death domain. So we need to expand and go claim other territories, or we would eventually not make any money. Yeah. Kind of interesting. I usually hate going with death domain, so I really hope that this will work out. But I have no idea. As I said, I'm not super experienced in this game, and especially not playing against players. It will be interesting. But that's basically it for this episode. And next turn I'll probably try to do the turn before I actually do the move, and try to do it with you as we move into the next turn. Yeah. But that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.